Hey, hello everyone. Okay, today is a new Friday, new live stream. Today we're doing a second part from the last live stream. Excited about this. I'm gonna make the full intro after a couple minutes. So we're gonna give you a couple minutes just to. We're gonna wait for everyone to join. Okay. So, how is everyone doing? Hope that the week was good. See here. Hey, Yemen. Good to see you. I don't have my phone next to me today with the comments, so I'll probably have a bad time reading comments while I'm coding. I just forgot about this, Gabe. I just I would have I should have thought about this, but anyways, we're here already, so we're gonna do the live stream like this. If today you see me reading less comments than usual, it's just because I just have one screen right now, and I will have to be switching back and forth to see exactly all the comments. But I appreciate everyone here. I see a bunch of people already excited. Hey. I'm going to say hi to the people that I can see because some of the comments are trimmed. Hey, Amen. Hey, Patrick. Good Friday, guys. How is everything going? What else? Come on, platform. Show me the comments. Why I cannot see the comments? Maybe if I open YouTube to see myself. I'm going to try that. I'm going to look for my own live stream. Yeah, here. Nice. Hey, oh, nice. I can see the comments here. Great. Hey, Nicola. Hey, Patrick again. Hey, Glenn. I missed last week, but still looking forward to part two. Nice. Yeah, I'll try to do a quick summary for you guys so you can at least know what's going on. But essentially, today we're doing the second part where I'm building an attribute solution live in the attributes v2 code base. Okay. I think that actually, let me just do already the intro. Let's talk about things. So, last Friday, we started doing what I just said, creating an attribute solution with the upcoming V2 version. Okay, this is a version of the library that we are going to soon open source. It's going to be public and people will be able to collaborate in it. So you'll be able to just see the code base if you just want to pick on it. You will be able to create issues. You'll be able to answer issues, answer discussions. You will be able to create pull requests, review pull requests, etc. Okay, so the idea now is that between not yesterday, last Friday and today, I'm doing just the live stream where I'm just working in the code base. So the moment that we go open source, you guys can, understand exactly how to interact with the product, the solution. Okay. Hey Chabi, good to see you. Hey Still Moby. Hey, nice. Appreciate you guys coming. So last Friday, what we did was this. Let me show you. If we can share the screen, that would be nice. So last Friday, we started building this solution that is called fsdate. Oh, I just messed this up. And this fsdate solution, it's one of the all solutions that we have here in attributes. So we've got, this is still from V1, so then look at it. But all the solutions like accordion, auto video, accessibility, and then things like, combo boxes, components, copy to clipboard, all the different solutions, we build them separately in different packages. I kind of went over the structure of the product and how we create solutions and how we dynamically load them just when we need them. So in case that you're interested in that specific part, you should go check out the previous live stream. Okay. But essentially it's that. Wait, I think I messed up my mic. We're still good. I'm gonna assume that we are good. So today I'm just gonna continue building this solution that I started building, this FS date solution. Okay, and the idea of this solution is that we are going to allow people to format any date of an object of an element. So for example, here I've got here my examples where I just have random dates like that. And let me just show you what we did. So it's better show than tell, right? So publish here, and if this works, which looks like it's not working for some reason. Oh, that's probably because I need to install again. 1 second, stay with me. They should work now. So you can see how these dates, these elements here are being formatted, not with this date that we have here, 2024 0412, but instead they're using this formatting here. Okay. And this happens because we already created some settings for this attribute on the previous live stream where we define exactly, hey, this is a date element. Nice. We're just identifying an element. And then to this element, we're passing a bunch of settings. So in this case, we're passing, hey, we want the year to be formatted as a number. We want the weekday to be formatted long. So if it was Wednesday, for example, or Friday or Thursday, it's going to show that that name. And then we wanted the month to also be displayed as long. I'll show you the different settings. So instead of saying 04, it will say April, for example. And the day, in this case, we want it to be 2 digits. So if it's the first of the month, it's going to show 01 instead of just 1. Okay. So this is just different formatting options that we have, which is bringing to this output. So we've got Friday, April 12th, 2024. Okay. And this is being formatted in English automatically because my computer it's set to an English locale. But we could also, for example, I'll get rid of these other ones because it just repeated. We could also say something like fs date locale, and we can make this in French, for example, like this. And if I type the locale right, because I'm just doing it from memory, but if I did it right, now we should see this being in French. Nope, I didn't do it right. Yes, it should be a far from French, maybe. If not, well, I'm gonna check it, or I can just change it to Spanish because I know the code for Spanish. No, here it is. So check how this is now in French. Okay, so it's very convenient. It's a way of without coding, just formatting a date in any kind of format. Not only the formats that you get when you render a CMS collection in Webflow, that you get some options for displaying dates, but also any static element and with any kind of formatting. And this is happening through the browser's datetime format library, not library, sorry, the API. Okay. I'm going to pull this up. Check this out. This is our comments. Gabe, do you want me to tell you when I'm about to switch the screens? Hey, bro, I'm stuck in a big problem. Please help me. Iman, you should write my team. So if you need help for a big problem, remember that we've got a forum that where there's full support of our team. Robert, hey, hello, great team, great things cooking here. Thank you, nice. I'm going to get Firebase with Webflow by Webflow Logic and Firebase Cloud Function and HTTP request. Please help me. Iman, maybe we could do a live stream about this in a future because this is a completely separate topic from today. So either you go in forum.finsweet.com or you get people to vote for that specific topic, and we could do a live stream talking about Webflow Logic. We actually haven't talked about Webflow Logic here in the past, I think. So maybe we could do it. Hey, Supercharged. Good to see you. Great. Okay, so going back to the project, this is what we built. Okay, so we've got all these different settings. All of this is already working. And as I said, all these different settings, the year, the weekday, the month, the day, the locale, all these settings are being inspired by the native internalization datetime format API from the browsers. Okay, so essentially in the background, I'll show you the code now in a second, but in the background, we are initializing the attribute solution. We're looking for all the date elements that we define with these fs date element equals to date. And then we just get the settings and we pass those settings to the API. Okay. And this API already has all these kind of settings. Okay. So if we check the documentation from Mozilla, you can see how we can pass a locale, as I said. So here it could be from the US, from I was about to call this Brittany, my God, from the UK, Korean or Japanese, whatever. Okay, you can pass it from any country in the world. And you can also pass options to format the date. So we can pass, hey, how do we want the hours or the minutes or the seconds or the specific time zones or year, month, day, hour, minute. Well, I just said that one. But yeah, so essentially all these options are being passed here. And that's why we see these results in here. Okay. Any questions so far? Let me check the comments here. I'm sure you went over it last week, but how does this solution know which part of that text is the month and which is the day? Great. Nice. So, good point. So what we do here, the flow, it's the following. So first of all, let's do some drawing. I like doing drawings. So first of all, what's happening is page starts loading. Okay, good. After starting loading this page, like that, the attributes library starts loading. So we've got attributes, in this case v2 loads. And if you want to know exactly how attributes v2 loads, because it's a different approach from v1, because we just have a single script tag, we don't have one script tag for all the solutions. We have one script tag for sorry, so not, yeah, oh my god, today my English is broken, I'm sorry. Today so in v1 we've got one script tag for each solution. So you would have a script tag for filtering, a script tag for copy clip, a script tag for modals, whatever. Okay, in v2 we just have a single script tag for all the solutions, that it's looking like this. Okay, and don't try to use it because it's still not live, so it's just probably gonna break. So although I'm showing you here the URL, I really don't recommend that you use it yet. Okay, but so here attributes v2 loads, and then what it will do is it scans for the elements on the page, and each of these elements also might have some settings. So grabs the settings of each element. And this is something also that we talked about, how it works in attributes, because the way that we deal with settings in attributes is by cascading down things. So imagine that you've got an element that has a specific setting. You can pass that setting to the same element, or you can pass that setting to a parent element. And that setting will cascade down unless it's overridden by one child element. Okay. And at the top, we can also pass settings to the script tag. So if you define a setting in the script tag, that setting will be global, but then any parent or element can override that setting, okay? Exactly as the styles work in Webflow. So if you're familiar with Webflow CSS, where you define something in the desktop and then it cascades down to mobile, but you can override it if you want. So if I go to mobile and I change some style, then the style is the one from the mobile, not from the desktop. Same happens here with attributes. It goes from the script tag to any parent element to the element itself that we are working with, and you can define the setting at any point of these chain. Okay, so we grab the settings of each element, and then we just initialize the solution. Depending on the solution, it's going to do something X, Y, or Z, depending. Okay. In this case, because we are using this fs date, what we are doing right now is we are extract the text from the element. Okay. So in this case, check this out. Here we've got this element as an example, and this element already has some text. Okay. So this has 2024 04 12. Okay, which means 24 the year, and then 04, which is what Glenn is being confused about. Is this the day? Is this the month? Oh, it's gonna be, and then the 12th. Okay, and so from there we create a date instance. Okay, so we essentially generate a date JavaScript object. And this is a built-in object in the browser. Okay, you can even try it if you go to your console and you just open that tool, you open the console and you do new date like this. Okay, let me zoom in. This is going to generate a date like that. Okay, and check this out. If I do to ISO string like this, look at this format. Okay, I want you to understand this. This format of having year, month, and day like this. This is the ISO convention. So this is a convention that will make sure that doesn't matter what country you're located in, doesn't matter if you're in the US or you are in Europe, because in the US the month goes first. So in the US usually we would do something like 04, 19, and then 2024. But in Europe we do it the other way around. We do 1904 2024, which is confusing. So the ISO convention, it goes the other way around. It goes year, month, and day. So then there's no confusion. So it's 2024 and then 04 and then 19 to define today. And that's why this is being defined like this in here to avoid confusion. If you want to create confusion, you can do it like this. So let's try 04 12 2024 and let's see what happens here, because I think that it depends on the locale. It depends on my computer. It's set to US locale, but so probably it's gonna work correctly because it's gonna say, hey, okay, this is April 12th, probably, I don't know. Yes, like that. But if I change this, if I change my computer's locale, that would probably not work. How can I think I can simulate this somehow, but I forgot. Let me see. Let me see. Language here. So here I got my language to English US. So what if I do this in Spanish? What's going to happen there? Requires reload. Oh, I'm not going to do it then. Sorry, guys. But maybe it's a reload of DevTools. Reload DevTools. Please don't break. Please don't reload the browser. Am I still alive? Yes, I am. Yeah. Okay. Okay, great. So if I do this again, let's see what happens now. Okay, interesting. So it's not broken. What happens if I do 12/04 2024? This is December. But if I do 04/12/2024, this is April. So this is still parsing it as the US. So it's probably coming from my computer and not from DevTools. Okay, so let me bring this back to the US. But anyways, the thing is that you probably want to use the ISO formatting to make sure that the browser understands this. Okay, so it knows exactly that it doesn't matter what country the user is located, that this is the right format. Let me check the comments here. Hey, Exadam, nice to have you. Nice. Hey, Himansu. Okay, you will make a video on this topic separately. Okay, bro, please. Okay, yeah, amen. We can talk about it. Yeah. Hey, Rajan. Good to see you. Okay. Wow, Iman, you are passionate about this. I'm gonna have to consider your proposition. We'll see. Okay, I assume that was solved, Glenn. Let me know if you still have the question, but if not, I'm gonna move on because there are still a couple of things that I want to do to finalize these attributes so I can show you guys the full flow of working here with this. So right now we've got these options. Let me show my screen back again. So we've got these settings: locale, year, weekday, month, and day. And those settings are fine, right? But those settings are fine for elements that already have a date. So in this case, we have this date defined, all good, no problem. But what if we want to do a dynamic date? What if I want to have an element that always displays the current year or always displays today's date, right? I want to add that specific functionality too. So here in elements, we've got so far one element that it's the date element, and that's going to define these. Why am I messing up all the time? It's going to define these elements that we're working with. Now, I want to pass an additional setting that it's going to be value, like that, okay? And this setting, I want to use a library that is called Chrono. Okay, this is a natural language state parser in JavaScript. And the cool thing of this is that we can do things like this: an appointment on blah, blah, blah. Okay, or we can do things like today or tomorrow or in a week from now. We can pass any kind of text and it will, as far as I understand, it will parse it to the correct date. So I want to try this. I want to try this out. Okay. So let's go back to the code base 1 second so I can show you exactly everything that's going on. Here in the code base, we've got all the packages. If you want to know a bit more about the structure of the code base, go ahead and watch the previous live stream. And we've got this state package. This state package defines all the logic for this specific solution. We've got the init function, that's just the entry point. We've got some factory method here to get all the settings and initialize a specific element. And then here in constants, we define all the available elements and we also define all the available settings. And you can see how here in settings we've got, okay, we can pass a local setting, we can pass a year setting, and this year setting accepts numeric and 2-digit as values, or weekday, or month, or day. All good, all fine. I want to pass a new value that's going to be value like this. And this is going to be just key value and values. Actually, no, values is going to be arbitrary like this. So this will defines a specific date value. Or maybe instead of calling it value, we could call it, I'm just making this up right now, so you can make suggestions. But maybe we could call this, because we're going to use natural language. How should we call this? Maybe values on the right way. We could call it date, like this. Or we could call it, what do you guys think? Let me check. Gotta update formats and locales. It's still important for the data text to be consistent format that the user knows. Yes, correct, Lynn. Okay, guys, I want you to tell me, how should we call this setting? Should we call it fs date, fs date value, fs date parse, fs date, okay, let me see. Fs date value, fs date date, fs date. We're going to use natural language parser. So we could do parse or fs date define, fs date. Fs date. Trying to come up with more names. Let me see comments. Come on, give me ideas, guys. I want your ideas. Fs date NLP, natural language parser. Is that what it is? Okay, so it's Exarum is saying Virat. I still call you Exarum. I should call you Virat. NLP for natural language parser. Although that might be confusing. The idea is that people understand it in a, in a quick way, what a setting does. Parse, define, date value. Format. It's not format because we're not formatting. We are passing a value. We're defining a date. So I want to do things like, I want people to be able to write something like fs date value. Okay, I'm going to use value for now. And maybe I want to do 5 days from now. Like, I want people to be able to write these kind of things. So then this date will always be populated with the date in 5 days from the current date, if that makes sense. So I think that maybe value is the right way, because date, it's a bit weird. And maybe date parse, because we're parsing this value, but this value could be, fs date define. I have a big dilemma right now, but I'm going to do, for now, I'm just going to go with value. Okay. And we'll see. We can always rename it. So I want to do value, like that. Let's call it value. I'm going to get rid of all these settings that we just created. Just value. Nice. So this again, this is not going to be a date. It's going to be value. Great. So going back to factory. First of all, here we've got this date. And right now, when we are initializing the date element, we are grabbing the element and then we are grabbing the text from the element. That's the default thing. But it could be that we are defining the value using value instead of just reading the text from the element. So in this case, I'm going to do, let's check if, I'm going to call this raw value, and I'm just going to say, hey, get if the element has an attribute defined as value. And if yes, we're going to do let value. If there is a raw value, then we are going to parse here. Okay, so we're going to pass the parse state. If not, we're going to do this like that. Okay, and this is going to be the value, actually not the value, but the date in this case, like this. Okay, so the idea is to do this. We check if there is some value. If there is a value, then we parse it. This is a step that we still have to do. If not, we are going to grab the inner text and we are going to just create a new date from it, like this. So what we need to do first here to parse it is to import the chrono library, this chrono node. But so let's go ahead and install it. So I'm just gonna, let me cancel this. I'm gonna do cd to packages date, and in here I'm going to add this chrono node package. So now I'm just installing this package in the date module package. So here you can see how now we've got this chrono node. Now I'm foreseeing that this chrono node will probably be very heavy. It will not be a lightweight package because it has to have a lot of rules to define what a setting is based on what the user has done. Let me try import. How does this work? Import everything as chrono. Let me see how expensive it is. How expensive is this? Let's check it. Console log chrono. I want to see if this is huge or it's a rather simple thing. And for now, I'm gonna, 1 second, so I don't want to break things. Let's skip this. Let's comment this out and let's go to the live side here. Let's see in the console. Oh, I need to run this again. 1 second. So there's the pm dev. Okay, we're serving this, all good. Okay, so we are parsing this, and this chrono bit, ooh, this is probably, it's going to be very, very, yeah. I'm pretty sure that this will be giganormous. Actually, we can check it. If we go to but attributes list, it will be hard to find this. But what we can do instead, because that's one of the things that I wanted to show today, it's that instead of doing an import like this, because, we want all the solutions to be as lightweight as we can, right? And in this case, it's a very, very lightweight solution. We're just getting some element and we're getting some settings that we're initializing this. So importing this whole library just for people that might use the value setting, which is not going to be everyone, because maybe I'm just going to use this, but without these fsdate value setting, we don't want to be shipping that library to everyone. We just want it to ship for people who is going to use it. So instead of doing this import, I'm going to do this, going to be async like this. And we're going to, if there's a raw value, so let me do date here, and this will be a date. So let me get rid of this. And I'm going to say, if there's a raw value here, we are going to, module, or we can say chrono, await, import, and then I'm going to import chrono like this. Okay, so instead of importing it from here, we are dynamically importing during runtime only if we need it. Okay, and only if we need this. So we can do this like that. Look at that. Copilot was already giving me ideas. So I can do parsed, and this should be a date like that. So I could say date. So this could be potentially null. And we can say now, if there is no date, so either there was no raw value or the parsing failed for some reason. If there is no date value, yeah, don't worry. Then we are going to do this. We're going to grab the date from here, like that, okay? And why is this happening now? Now, like that, okay? So essentially the steps are this. We grab the raw value if it exists. We try to parse it by importing dynamically chrono node. If it works fine, all good. If it does not work, then we try to parse the date from the element itself, okay? So people can always have a fallback if something goes wrong. So if we did this right, now here I should see, I don't know if it's going to work. Okay, so we've got here the value, and I want this to be 5 days from now. So let me check 1 second what happens if we try to console log this. So I'm going to do raw value and date. I just want to see exactly what's happening here. So if I check the console, there is nothing being console logged. So that means that this value, it's not being grabbed. Okay, interesting. Raw value. Let me try again. So there's no raw value. So this means that something is wrong here with the definition. Key value. Did I write it correctly? FS date value. Oh, probably I need to polish. My God. Yes, I need to polish. Let me see the comments here. Chronology parsed. Okay, so people are suggesting to call these parse instead of value. That might be make sense. Let me see. I would just accept both value and parse. Both makes sense to me. That's a good option too. So just doing value and parsing. Great idea. What about if you wanted to parse the currently entered date? That could also be a thing. So you mean Josh do like parse like this? Parse this like 5 days from now? Is that what you mean? That could be an option. That could be an option. But something that we could do potentially for now, let me try this 1 second to make sure that, yeah, nice. Okay, so this is working fine. Let's not do French because I don't understand French. So let's go back here. So this is working fine now. As you can see, we have defined a value here that it says 5 days from now. And if we do this, 5 days from now, that works great. Oops. So this is just grabbing the text and it's parsing it and it's saying, okay, 5 days from now, it's going to be April 2024. So and April 24th of 2024. So that works great. Nice. We could do, let's call it parse. Yeah, I think that you guys are right. So let's just do parse instead of like this. Yeah, we can just leave it as is. So if we do this as parse, my bad, sorry, I just messed up this. If we do this as parse anyways, Josh was asking, what if we want to parse not only from this option here, but also from the text element, right? Let me see. I meant more. Oh, okay. I meant more. What if what was entered was 1/1/2024, and we did parse value of add 5 days. Hmm. Hmm. I could see using a dynamic value and using it to help parse the value from the CMS list. So you, for example, would like to do, yeah. So in here, okay, I think I'm understanding you. First, let me answer X item first, Virat. So Virat, whenever we do dynamic imports like this is just happening once. Okay, doesn't matter if we do it multiple times. Actually, let me show you. If I duplicate this a bunch of times and I publish, you probably would think, okay, now we are doing this dynamic import every single time, but the browser is optimized for this. So the browser is smart and it knows that it just has to import it once. I don't know if there's going to be some race conditions, and maybe I might be wrong here. But if we check this, let me check JavaScript. Let me see. Yeah. So this is probably, this looks like it's the kernel. Yes, this is the kernel file. And you can see how this is just being imported once. And we did get to dynamically import because it's very hot. It's very, very heavy. It's 300 kilobytes. It's quite a lot. So yeah, it doesn't matter how many times we call this. It's just going to be imported once, and then it's going to be cached during the session, or even probably going to be cached during the whole thing, because these library will be, will be served with the proper cache headings. But yeah, it's going to be cached. It's not going to be imported every single time. So going back to Josh's question, here we've got this, and we're saying 5 days from now. What we could do is, I don't know if I'm making too many assumptions, but we could try and say, because I think that when parsing date, yeah, we can pass a reference here, parsing reference like that. So we could potentially try to get the date from the element. And if it's a valid date, then we can pass that date as a reference to chrono. So for example, if I pass this here, which is right now 12th of April, let me move it the other way around. So let me do, so there's no confusion. And this will be, let me put some stuff like this. So this will be value from element. The drag and dropping today in Webflow is working very bad. I don't know why. No, here. And this is value from attribute, like this. Come on. And we could also do value from attribute using value from element as reference. Okay, so let's try this. So for example, if the value, if the element does not have a date, then we're just going to parse directly whatever it says here. If the element has a date, so right now here we've got a reference, we are going to try and parse that first. We're going to try to parse this date and use that date as a reference for this here, if that makes sense. So let's try it. Let's try it, and then if it's a bad idea, then we'll just discard this. So here, raw value, good. We'll always try to create the date first. So I think I'm going to do this. Let date equals to new date inner text. And I think that this can fail, right? Does it throw if I create a new date? No, it doesn't throw, but it shows invalid date. Okay, how can I check if it's an invalid date? How can I check if a date object in JavaScript is an invalid date? JS date validations. You can call the isDateValid function. So there's an isDateValid function. Is that a thing? IsDateValid? Nope. So that's probably some library. Let me see. Is that value? Okay, so it's nan, new date. Oh, so we can check if it's nan. Oh, I see. Oh, nice. Okay, so if it's nan, let date like this. Great. So we're going to pass this and we're going to say const ref equals to is nan date. If it's nan, probably what I'm going to do, I'm getting errors here. Get time. Yeah, we can do get time. Get time. If this is nan, then it's not going to be anything. But if it's correct, then we're going to pass this like that. And then we can pass this ref like this. Okay. And let me see. And if there was nothing here, because it still could be or null, because this could still be null. There are so many assumptions that I'm doing right now. And that's the hardest part, actually, always defining the API and trying to come up with the right approach. Let me see any comments here. JS state add. In my head, value it's to override what it's in the current text content, and parse it's to do whatever to the value. Oh, Josh, that's perfect. Josh, thank you very much. You are very, very right. So let's do this approach instead. So let me explain what happened here, because Josh had a really good idea and I think that we should implement it. So we should have these two different settings. One setting, value, it's to define a specific value that's going to override things. And then parse will do the same thing, but use the current date that we've got here as the reference if it's a valid date. Okay. So let me explain. So here we could do, let me call this value instead, and I'm going to do parse like this. So value and parse. Okay, so if there is a value, I'm going to do, yeah, we're going to do this first. Is this, yeah, correct. If there is a value, meaning that we want to override the date, then we're not going to pass the ref. Okay, so this goes away like this. Great. If there is it has parse, instead, we are going to grab this existing date and we're going to pass it as the date here. So this date is probably going to be null, yes. So we're going to do const ref. What I did before, it would be we want to make sure again. Sorry, I'm just doing the same thing again. If there is no date or it's none, we're going to pass a new date. Correct. And if otherwise, we're going to use the date. Yes. And then we're going to do this ref. I think that we're doing it right now. And then lastly, that could still not be correct. Yeah. Okay. So we might not even need this. And we could try to do it here instead. Stay with me. I'm doing something very weird, I know. Date undefined. Or null. Okay, so here if there's a value, we try to create the date just directly from the value that we pass from chrono. Good. If there is a parsing, instead, I think that we should not allow having both value and parsing. I think that we should have either one of both. So we should do else if. So either value or parsing, but not the two at the same time because it's going to be weird. So then in that case, again, we get chrono, we create a new date from the element. Okay. We check if this date is valid because it could be that it's not really valid, that date. If that date is valid, we just use the date. But if it's not valid, and I'm going to say reference date like this. If there's, oh, and this is okay. So if the reference date is not valid, then we create a new date. But if it's valid, we use that as a reference date like that. Okay. And then lastly, if there's no date at all, then we just parse it from the element. Okay, so many logic. I think that there was so much room to mess up, but I think that we can try it. So if we did it right, here, this version should show 5 days from today, which is April 19th. So it should show April 24th. If we did it also right in this version where we have a date that is defined, we should see April 17th because it would be 5 days from April 12th. Okay, let's try it. I think that we just have a moment here of confusion, but I think that should be solved now. Let me try. Yeah. Okay, good. So this worked. Look at this. Nice. Good job. Thank you, Josh. Yeah. So people can use both attributes. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. I just now realized the power of it in both. Oh, you mean using both? So Josh and Virat, how would you use both? So if you want to use, because either you use a reference date or you override things, but why would you like to combine both? I'm trying to understand. Like, what output would you expect if I did this? Parse and value. So if I did this and fs date parse tomorrow, like, what would be the output of this, really? It's very weird. It's hard to explain in my head. Let me try to understand it. So if I do value 5 days from now, and then we also do the parsing, and we use the date that we created, like you're just concatenating things, but does it, if you have both, you're overriding whatever is in the text content. No, but you can override it with the value. So yeah, so hold on. Let me just show you this. So here I'm gonna do this, and instead of doing parse, I'm gonna do value. Okay. So if I do this, so this would be using value from element as a reference, and this would be just value from attribute. Okay. So in this version, if I use parsing, it's going to use this value as a reference. Whoops. In this version, doesn't matter if there's a date, but because I'm using value, it's just going to hard code. So it's going to override the value. So if this works correctly as I have it in my mind, this should be April 17th, and this should be April 24th, because this one will use 5 days from today, not from this date in particular. So yeah, check this out. So in this one, we are overriding already. You don't need to use value and parse at the same time. Yeah, one is enough. Correct. Yeah, nice. Okay, so we've got the solution. Good. So what's left now is to do the testing for the solution and creating the pull request. Okay. And obviously writing the documentation, but I'm not gonna bore you about this. So what I want to do now is I want to create the tests for this because we want to have full testing for all the solutions in attributes. Okay. So this is something that we did not talk about last day. So I'm gonna close these files for a second and I'm going to head to the attributes package. So one of the packages that we have here in the mono repo, it's the attributes, which is the main entry package. And in here, we've got tests for all the solutions. So I want to create a test. I'll just duplicate this one. I want to do date.spec.ts. And I'll get rid of all of this. I'll get rid of all of this. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of this. Like this. And this is, I think it's date. Yeah, date. Like that. Okay. So here we want to do some automated tests. I think that we should test all these 4 different elements. So I want to get a value from an element. Good. How about we pass a specific locale? Let's do fs date locale. Yes. Okay, let's do Spanish locale. So we know for sure that things work correctly. And I'm also going to do fs date locale here. And this is going to be yes again. You guys, today you learn Spanish. Because today we are testing things in Spanish. Just to make sure that things work as expected, okay? So let's try this. The way that we test things, it's by, I'm going to define an additional attribute to all these elements to be able to query them. So I'm going to do data test ID, and this is going to be 1. And we're going to call this data test ID 2. And this can be data test ID 3. And this can be data test ID 4, like that. Okay. Great. So let me do super quick. I know that I'm not going to do it super well explained because we just have 5 to 10 minutes, but I'll try to be as clear as I can. So I'm going to do a fs date, and I'm going to say sets the correct value to the elements like this. Okay. So we're going to wait for the attributes that is loaded. So this is a util helper that we have specifically for end-to-end testing that they just say, hey, I want you to start doing the test after the date solution has been loaded on the page. Okay. Great. Actually, there's one thing that we have to do because we made this factory method async. Okay. This is now asynchronous. So we want to make sure that this is being awaited. So we're going to do await promise.all like this. Okay, so before initializing, so finalizing the init, we make sure that all the elements factory method it's being awaited for. So going back here, now we're going to say get by test ID. I'm going to do just 1. I know that I'm going to correct this test after the live stream, but I'm going to call this element 1. And we're going to do the same for the rest. So this is going to be element 2, element 3 and 4. So element 3 and element 4. So now with this, we have selected using the end-to-end tests, we have selected this element, this element, this element, and this element in here. Okay. So for now, oh my God, just for being quick, I'm just going to copy this because I know for sure that this is correct. So this is Friday, 12th of April, I think, yes. And then 5 days from now, here, 5 days from now, here, 5 days from now, here. Actually, I think that we're just duplicating things. Yeah, so this is actually redundant. I just found out. Yeah, we can keep number 2 and 3 for now. It's going to be fine. So we can get rid of 4. So I want to say, okay, expect the text of the element 1 to be this text in here. Okay? Boom. And expect element 2 and expect element 3 to be this text. So this text in here, we know that for sure that this is correct. And this text in here. Like that. Okay. So we're just checking to make sure that these values are always the ones expected, even if we change the code base. Okay. I'll show you now what happens if we change something. But let's try to run this. If I try to run this and we did it right, we should see how this is passing. So this is essentially loading the page. So it's visiting the attribute site. It's then waiting for the date solution to be loaded. It's getting these 3 elements, and then it's checking for these elements to have the correct value. Okay. So for example, if I change this to be 13th of April, this test should now fail. It's going to tell me, hey, this is not right. You did something wrong, because we're expecting to see a 13th of April, but this element is coming with a 12th of April. Okay, so something is clearly not right. You should check this out before shipping this to production. So if I correct this, we should check it. We should see it. Nice. So for example, imagine that for some reason, because we are going to go open source, etc. So there's going to be people collaborating here in the code base. So imagine that for some reason, somebody's changing something here in the package. And now for whatever reason, they make a mistake and they just, I don't know, they they forget about the month value. Just making this up, okay? If we check this again, if we try to run the test now, this test is going to fail because now the output, it's no longer the one that we were expecting. This output is now 2024 Friday 12th, but it's not showing the month because we just removed the option, right? As you can see here, this is no longer what we were expecting. So something is clearly wrong here. And now this means that we have to go here in the code base and see, oh, this was wrong because the month was missing, if that makes sense. Okay. So now we are good to open a PR. Look at that. So I'm going to clear this. And we're just going to do a chain set. Okay. But actually, before doing that, let me check the comments here. Muy bien. Yeah. I was thinking you setting 5 days from now was going to reference the current data always. Oh, no. Yeah, correct. Maybe it's easiest for me. Amen. You don't need to keep insisting about this. Don't worry. We'll talk about it. Adam, test case to check invalidate. Oh, good point. Yeah, we should check that. Get a dash. Thank you, Glenn. So how would we at this point set the fallback? I'm okay with the current date. It's the fallback, but maybe we'd want the text content to be the fallback. Would want to parse a dynamic value. I think that we're doing that right now already. So here, if you check this code, even when we are parsing, after doing all of this, if for any reason there's still not a valid date because the parsing went wrong, we still try to get the date from the text of the element. So in case that something goes wrong, we're always going to fall back to getting the text of the element and creating a date from that. Okay, but only if the first steps failed in here. I think it's a nice fallback. Okay, great. So let's open a PR. I'm gonna add some JS doc comment here, and it's the date element. Correct. I think that we're good here, and all it's left now is to create a chain set. And when doing this, essentially, we're just managing Sember. We're managing all the versions of all the packages that we have. So we know exactly what changed on every PR that we create. So here, I'm going to select the attributes and both the entry package and the date package. I'm not sure why I'm being prompted to change the utils package. Did we change anything in the utils package? Utils. Oh yeah, right. The utils package is also supposed to have this. Nice. So no major bump for any of this. Nope. But it's gonna have a minor bump. Actually, yes, there's a major bump for the FS date because it's the first one. Let me start over. So let's clear npm change set. So we want this. There's a major bump for the date package because this is gonna be version 1. Okay. There's a yes. There's a minor bump. No, I think that we can do a patch for attributes and utils, and we're gonna do release or fit new fs date attribute like that. Okay, so we can commit this here. Let me zoom in. I use GitHub desktop. Oh, why is this? Zoom in. Zoom in more. Zoom in. Okay, so I use GitHub Desktop to manage all the commands and pull requests. It's very convenient for me. And we are going to open this pull request. Nice, great. Attribute fs date like this from the Friday's live stream. Yay. Great. And I'm gonna just do all of it. So I'm gonna target myself so I know for sure that this is being handled by me for whoever reviews this. This is gonna have an attribute date label. So I'm gonna create a new label because it's new. Nice. And no projects, no milestone. And in this case, I would tag reviewers if I wanted somebody specific to review the project. But for now, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna create a pull request. And we've got CI/CD in place. So now we should see how the package is being checked here, and also the tests should run. But I think that they are disabled because there was some issue going on in the code base. But eventually, the tests will also be running to make sure that all the automated tests are passing before we release anything. Okay, and after this 5-minute sprint that hopefully did not confuse you a lot, let me check the comments again. Yeah, I guess I'll have to check out myself and give it a test. Oh yeah, absolutely. Charles is saying, so if text content was not scheduled and we wanted to do 5 days from now, date from CMS, 5 days from date will be attribute, but from Webflow will not allow contact string plus CMS fields to attribute. I'm not sure if I'm following you guys. So I see that there's some debate about this fallback thing, but I need some clarification to understand what you mean. Let's see. The CI, it's now being run. CI is running. And everything is passing. This is good. All the linting is passing. And hopefully all the type checking will also pass. Yeah, I think everything will be fine. Yeah, there was some warning, but it's just about, yeah, not just warnings, but no errors. Done, 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 done. Everything is passing. Date passed. Good. Okay, so all good. Great. Or should we set, or should be a set fallback value? I'm still trying to understand what you guys are talking about, Josh and Virat. So how would we at this point set the fallback? I'm okay if current date is the fallback, but maybe we want to text content to be the fallback once we parse a dynamic value. I guess how do we control what shows if the past date is invalid? Does it default to what was passed in? That seems like it could be erroneous in use if we're using parse. Yeah. Okay. So here, you mean in this option here, where imagine that we're trying to use 5 days from now, using this date as a reference, but you say that what if the date is wrong? Well, I would say that we could always add a fallback as another setting, but that fallback would also be wrong. So at some point, we gotta uh, leave it to the user to fix the issue, right? I mean, because if you want this to work properly, you will probably test it, I guess. Like you add the dates and yeah. And if this is an invalid date, the ultimate fallback is having the today's date. So if I check this, the ultimate fallback is having today's date. So with all these fallbacks of checking the text of the element and checking or using the today's date, I think that it's more than enough for the user to just know when something is wrong and fix it themselves. So if you have a list of dates that are from the CMS and you're parsing all of them, and one has an invalid date, what shows is that one is invalid. Uh, yeah, I get what you mean. As long as on the CMS we use date field, we are good. Yeah, I was about to say that. So in CMS, you shouldn't have wrong dates, I think. Because in CMS, you have the date field. So if one date is correct, all the dates are correct. Because you're using the same formatting for all the dates, I think. So it should be fine. Okay, great. And this has passed. So now this would be good for somebody to review it. Okay. So we're not going to merge this because now the next step is to have somebody to give me a review. So you can see here how merging is blocked. I cannot merge unless I have somebody approve my review. And this is why how we try to avoid shipping bugs into production. Okay, so now I would ask somebody from my team to come in here, review all these updates that we did here for the solution, give me the okay, and then we can ship this to production. Cool. Okay. We're officially done. So I don't know if you guys have any questions before wrapping up, but I think that this was a nice walkthrough between today's session and the previous session. I remind everyone, if somebody was late here in today's party, that last Friday we did another session where I explained everything on how it works in the attributes code base, the mentality of the flows of working with the elements, etc. Great. So I see that Virat and Josh, you've achieved a final decision. Good. If we're not using date fields, then it's definitely up to the user to manually define it anyways. Yes, correct. Great. Okay, so I'm just gonna say goodbye. I appreciate everyone for staying here. It's 10 minutes past the time, so I know that it's been a while. So thank you, everyone. And I'm going to see you on the next Friday. We're probably going to do a Finsweet Plus session next Friday. Okay. So next Friday, it's going to be just for Plus users. Please, Gabe, can you share Finsweet Plus in the chat so people can see it? And if you want to come here in that session, which I still don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it's going to be something that's more private. So if you got questions, if you got something that you want to share with me, like who was the Iman, if you're still around, you can come to the next session and ask your question. Okay, and we'll just dive deep into it. Okay, great. Thank you all. Have a nice weekend. Goodbye.